Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Data Standard Audio Experience. I'm here today with Dennis Wakabayashi, the Vice President of Customer Experience Relations at RR Donnelley. And today we have a really interesting topic to talk about. We're going to be discussing how the world of social media is about to change. So, welcome to the show, Dennis. It's such a pleasure to have you today.
Hi, Catherine. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Yeah, and we're so glad to have you. And let's just get started. Could you tell the audience more about your background and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Dennis Wakabayashi. I lead customer experience for a global marketing solutions company, RR Donnelley. We deliver just about every customer experience you can imagine, from the most basic, even a label or a printed piece, commercial printing, in-store marketing, marketing automation, data analytics, all of the creative services. We deliver these services for brands worldwide. We have over 30,000 employees, and our real sweet spot is we handle first-party data so that customer experiences can be linked across all of the products and services that our clients need. In addition to that, I'm a instructor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison on the topics of digital marketing. So I see a lot of the industry from both the enterprise level view and also from the student perspective, because it's so important for us to keep an eye on the emerging leaders and the emerging technologies. So I really have a wonderful place in the industry to see both of those things.
Yeah, that's a really great place to be in because you can see the next generation and also kind of the things that they're learning and what they'll be able to bring into industry later. So that's definitely great to hear. And today, the big topic we're going to be discussing is about social media and just the impacts and changes that it'll make in the future. So, in your opinion, why do you think that social media is going to change in the future?
Well, I think we're seeing a lot of changes around privacy and even more so the perception of privacy, right? We know that, for instance, Facebook has the highest in data handling procedures. They have the most data, or the one of the largest sets of data. I guess one could argue Google may have the largest, but Amazon has quite a bit. So we see these companies handling data responsibly, but yet I'm not certain. For instance, on Facebook, we saw it during the elections and during the pandemic, trust became a real issue. So data, trust, and consumers, social media users are all in this point of reflection and rethinking what it means to interact on social media. So I see that the pandemic and the election brought around a lot of change in social media around the world. We even see certain countries banning certain channels. So you're right to talk about the fact that the social media landscape is changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially with technology changing very rapidly in the industry, it's just also impacting the marketing side and just the future of everything that we see. And why are companies like TikTok specifically really thriving in this social media world today?
Well, that is a great question, and it's something I think about way too much, Kat. So here's what I see happening. The business environment for our leading social networks was a different world than it is now. And for those reasons, business models are different. When we look at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as some key examples, they started out as freemium models. So they were born out of Silicon Valley. They gave away their software, and in Silicon Valley, their real mantra around business is growth metrics. So investors like to see big audiences fast. So Facebook, as an example, or Twitter were fantastic at getting huge growth really quickly. But then the need to invest in the technologies, the cost for that started getting bigger and bigger as the customer base grew. And so free wasn't worth the technology investment. So their investors and their business model, they went back and said, how can we make money on this? They said, let's introduce advertising. I think a lot of us at that time, there was a big groan in the whole marketplace around adding advertising, although we all knew it was coming, there was this apprehension. And then what I think Facebook did really well is they introduced it. And for some reason, it was okay. It suddenly was, we kind of expected it. We found value in the platform. It didn't significantly diminish the value. And so we said, okay, great, advertising. That I think was where the equilibrium with the customer experience was. Going forward, they then took it too far and they said, if we can sell advertising to our customers with our customer data, we can also make all of the customers have the ability to be advertised themselves. And when that little change in the market happened, where the content creator now had to pay to make the platform work for it. So an example there is, let's say I have 10,000 Instagram followers, and I'll tell you, I had an account with 10,000 Instagram followers, and I just shut it down and erased it. Because what happened was I would post, but some small percentage of that 10,000 would see my post. And then Instagram would say, you know what, if you just pay, we'll show another 1,000 or another 10,000, or we'll grow the audience. And so once I realized my content didn't matter as much as how much I would pay to promote it, that changed the game. So when we look at TikTok, so getting to your question, Kat, I'm sorry for this long answer, but I think that's how we got here. TikTok has an entirely different business model. What they do is they still reward content creators. So the algorithm, what it does is it takes a content creator's content and it tries to match that content with people who want to see that content. It's very simple. But for that reason, TikTok is the only social media platform where a content creator can go viral. And not only can they pretty much, a lot of them do go viral. And so because TikTok rewards the content creator and by letting them go viral, we see TikTok just dominating every other social media channel. Now, we could get into some more details about the fact that they have one stream rather than a bunch of different places to click, that sort of thing. But the net is TikTok is still about content creators.
Yeah, and TikTok does a really great job of your For You page and just really basing that recommendation system towards that user, and just showing them more videos of what they want to see. And that definitely makes sense of why a lot of content is just being going viral, because it's reaching the correct audience that actually wants to see the content and not just kind of randomly sending it out to everybody. But that's so great to see, especially I know that I think Instagram is also really changing their model as well right now with, I believe they're doing some sort of milestone for their content creators now. And if you maybe do a certain story or you post a certain amount per week, then you start getting these milestones. So a lot of these social media channels I've heard are really changing the game right now.
So Kat, that's fantastic. You just taught me something. So maybe I'll take a look at Instagram again.
Yeah.
So thank you for teaching me something today. One of the things I will say is, just if we're all being honest, the challenge with Instagram is too much content. So there's way more content on the system than any one consumer can consume during the usual engagement time. So when we look at TikTok, who has an average of, you hear different numbers, but it's close to an hour, just under an hour. Every time a user opens the app, they scroll for an hour. TikTok is hungry for content, whereas Instagram has way more content than it knows what to do with. So I think that's interesting. And I love the milestone idea. Thanks, Kat.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's so easy to stay on TikTok for a long time since it's the videos are so short. So you just say, oh, I'll just watch another one. Oh, I'll just watch another one. So that's why videos are also going viral. They're just being constantly watched. But yeah, that's so interesting to hear about from your perspective as well.
You probably don't remember this, but in the advertising industry, because I used to work in the ad agencies, we used to do 30-second television spots. And then we were like, oh my God, at a big event, we're going to do 60-second spots. And then the Super Bowl would come and we'd say 90-second spots. Yes, we'll tell a cinematic story and engage the audience. And so when we in the ad agency world heard that there were going to be 6 or 8-second spots, we were like, there's no way. There's no way at all. And now when we're on YouTube, even me and you, 6 seconds, you're like, come on, skip. Like, how I get it. 6 minutes, 6 seconds is way too long for a spot. It's just amazing how fast we consume content now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so interesting to see things changing as the generations change as well. So I think it's a super exciting field to be in right now too. And I wanted to try to transition over to the e-commerce
Let's do it.
side of everything. And so how is e-commerce getting ready to change as influencers really take over the industry right now?
That is a really interesting topic, which I'm very close to. I work with a company called Joined App. Have you ever heard of Joined App?
I have not.
That's okay. They're a startup. They're in California. And here's what they've done. They've simply put immersive shopping experiences into the chat windows of your social media platforms and also WhatsApp, that sort of thing. But now, if you're an influencer, let's say you have a class or you have some merch that you want to sell, and you're engaging with your audience, you can just on a live stream throw the immersive shopping experience into the chat while you're having the live stream. That's a game changer. Now, all of a sudden, social media influencers can monetize themselves at scale, and they don't need a Patreon necessarily. I mean, of course, that helps, but they don't have to rely on a revenue from, let's say, YouTube advertising or Patreon or sponsors. They can literally, influencers, monetize themselves with their own shopping experience at low cost. That Joined App is definitely going to reshape the landscape of influencer marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds super interesting. And where can anybody find more about this company and just more about the work that they
Yeah,
do?
if they just Google Joined App, JOINED.app is the URL.
Great. And the last thing I wanted to touch on in this conversation is just the idea of NFTs, which is really kind of taken over the industry right now. It's so interesting to see that it's helping a lot of content creators with, earning more money on the side as well. They're becoming huge in the industry. What do you think will be its impact in the world in the future?
NFTs, I've kind of gone from one side to the other, back to the other. As the industry and the market changes, I get more interested in them or less interested in them. What I would say is the idea of creating a system where content creators can essentially not just own their copyright, but they can monetize the value of their creations. It's a fantastic entrant into a world of algorithms and search engines or social media platforms. We've been so dependent as content creators on these platforms to have a way for us to create our work and have it go into a marketplace that's separate or independent or also collaborative with these platforms. It definitely is a moment of change in the industry. I'm not certain where it's going, but I think I would agree with you. It is a fundamental shift that content creators now can create their own marketplace independently, and I think it's going to be a good thing. I'm not where I sort of wonder is because they're digital, owning the original content is one thing, but being able to just screenshot something and send it and circumvent the blockchain or the NFT system, that to me still remains to be resolved. And we saw this with stock photos in the beginning. Stock photos were taken and traded. Then we saw people put watermarks, and then we saw people go back to giving away fantastic photography and then upselling to maybe a collection or better photography in some instances. So it'll be interesting to see how NFTs tackle this situation of being able to copy digital products without paying for them still.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's interesting. NFTs are really touching on many different artistic areas. Like a lot, as you had mentioned, the photography side. I thought it was interesting. The music industry is also going into NFTs. Also, that's really interesting to see. Since I don't know, I always thought that you could just take the copy and take a look at it anywhere. On YouTube, Spotify, anywhere like that. So it's interesting to see how it will be growing in the next coming years as well. Yeah.
Right. So let's just talk about the underlying, since you're the data standard, the underlying interesting thing about the originality of NFTs. I think what it comes down to is copyright, copying, plagiarism, fair use, all of these things we talked about with regard to content. The NFT at least declares the truth about originality, and we've been needing that in the ecosystem for a lot of years.
Yeah, that's a great point that you brought up, and it's something to really think about. Really, before you really purchase something, maybe on the NFT site. I want to say thank you so much, Dennis, for joining us today at the Data Standard. We're trying to build a community of data thought leaders, data enthusiasts, and just anybody interested in this industry, in this field. So, what is something that we could do for you?
This has been it. It's always a pleasure to have good conversation with other leaders in the marketplace like yourself. I think together, sharing the knowledge and information with wider audience that's really what we should be doing together. I think you've done more than enough for me already. I just appreciate you, Kat, and the chance to be on the show today.
Yeah, it was so interesting to get to talk to you about this industry and field right now with content creators. And where can everyone find you online to connect with you?
www.denniswakabayashi.com is the best way. From there, you can get to all of my other social accounts. If you're interested, so interesting, my main Twitter handle is justintimecx, but yesterday I launched a new Twitter handle with, I don't have any followers, well, maybe one, and that handle is your business bro. And here's why. Starting tomorrow, I'll be teaching students in universities. And I just felt like customer experience was such a small niche. So at Your Business Bro, I also have that handle on TikTok. I'm going to post things that I think help students learn about the industry in a simplified way, a more relevant way, a shorter content way. So those two places.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. A lot of career-oriented videos on TikTok do really great. So that's going to be really interesting to see the content that you put out there.
Maybe
Yeah.
you'll be my second follower on
Yeah. I
or
definitely will. After this call, I'll make sure to follow you on there.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's how you can help me. You can be
Yeah.
follower number 2, maybe follower number 1.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wanted to say thank you so much. And to our audience, for more information on the Data Standard, you can find us at www.datastandard.io, as well as on our LinkedIn and YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Dennis, for joining me. It's so great to have you on the show and get to know more about your background. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Kat.